You're done breathing into the. Are you done breathing into the microphone?
You hear it?
Yes. Yeah, I heard it.
Oh, when I'm doing that, I thought you meant me breathing through my nose. I'm like, you could hear
just now. I just pressed record, and this first thing you did was
because
breathing into the microphone.
I had to do the thing that people do before they start doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
You know how it is. You're the athlete here. You know how it is.
Former athlete.
Still though, you know how it is. Like,
no, I get it. But it was as soon as I pressed record, you did that. I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
I had to get ready.
So here we go.
All right.
Airs on air. We back at it again. Dante Senior, Dante Junior, and we back in business, family business. What's going on over there, Dante? What's the word?
Just chilling, just doing what I do, living life.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I see you got the hair flowing over there, but I'm going to keep my comments to myself. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, no, I just have my own style going on over here. That's all I'm doing.
I can respect it. I'm just going to say enjoy the hair while you got it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so today's topic, Dante. So before we jump into that, Caitlin Clark. What's your opinion of Caitlin Clark before we get started into the actual topic?
Not gonna lie, I have been scrolling through social media here and there, and I've been seeing the Caitlin Clark controversy and all the questionable things that's been said about her.
Okay.
So it's interesting. That's all I can say.
So what do you think about her as a ball player? As a baller?
Oh, she can ball. That's all I can say. She can ball.
Yeah.
She's a good player.
Definitely. So today's topic, everybody hates Caitlin. As you just alluded to, the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark. I don't know where it all comes from, but in this video, we're going to try to uncover part of the why people dislike Caitlin Clark, and at least to give you my opinion of it. And I want to discuss it with you to see if where you're coming from and whether you understand where it is that I'm coming from, or just the general controversy about Caitlin Clark.
Okay. I'm about to say, discussing about this in basketball, I know it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it should be. So no need to delay any further. Let's get to it. Let's see what's happening here with Caitlin Clark.
All right.
I saw where you said the WNBA, they're targeting Caitlin Clark. What do you mean by how she's being guarded or, enforced?
I think you and I both know the landscape that we live in today, both sports-wise and non-sports-wise, right? We are in a red-blue. And if you're red, you can't agree with blue. And if you're blue, you can't agree with red. Whereas most things are in the middle. If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP at the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning. So if you're a WNBA player, and believe me, I've coached the best, and I've pissed them off a lot, and they let me know about it. But they were tremendously disrespected. And none of them are going to say it. But human nature is, okay, this kid's coming into the league. And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement. Targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. There's a huge target on this kid's back.
How do you think Clark is handling this?
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets it. She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
Yeah,
And she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality. So there's a lot of learning curve, like Diana said.
What's coming? There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
And she needs to be more experienced, and that will come. But for these ridiculous fans who had her slotted as the next Diana now, they're out of their mind.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Coming out of Iowa, Caitlin Clark wanted to play for Geno at Connecticut. According to Clark, Geno didn't try to lure her to Connecticut. I loved Connecticut. I think they're the coolest place on earth, and I wanted to say I got recruited by them. They called my coach a few times, but they never talked to my family and never talked to me. Clark was ranked as the number 4 player in the 2020 high school class as well, and certainly on Geno's radar, so why didn't Clark take her talents to stores? Well, there just so happened to be a young lady named Paige Beckers, who was the unanimous number 1 player in the 2020 class. Beckers committed in April 2019, while Clark didn't announce her commitment to Iowa until November of that year. Geno claimed that Clark didn't make it abundantly clear she wanted to commit to Connecticut. Geno said that if Caitlin wanted to go to Connecticut, she should have been the one to pursue him. In addition, Geno also had some questions about whether Clark could play on both sides of the ball and could play high-level competition.
She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
yeah,
And she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
Okay. There was a lot being said there. I'll let you go first. Go for it.
I think it's funny how Geno was talking about like delusional fan base and then like disrespecting the WNBA players. Because is it really disrespectful? Like, is it really disrespect for hyping up a rookie? Just hype. They're not saying like, oh, these other WNBA veterans, they ain't nothing compared to Caitlin Clark. It's not like they're not saying all that.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's a little overreaction.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, it wasn't Caitlin Clark coming in saying that she's going to be the greatest ever. Her fans should support her. Her fans should want her to be the greatest player ever if that's what they're looking for. But I will say, Geno, I want to say he fumbled saying that her fan base is delusional and that they're stupid. I haven't seen him do an interview since then. I'm sure those are words he would likely want to take back. That doesn't show well for Geno Auriemma and the whole entire UConn program, but it is what it is. And the disrespect to the current WNBA players, I think it's a bit of a stretch. Your generation is coming in and you guys aren't asking for permission. You guys are taking what you feel is yours. And that's what any young person should do. You have the advantage of having youth on your side. You should want to go out and prove everybody wrong and make a name for yourself. You're not asking for permission. You're just, making your own path. And, that was a bad look from Geno, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. Because it's like, I think that's the beauty of it too. It's just like trying to make your own path and do what you want to do and make your own name for yourself instead of trying to live in somebody else's shadow.
Exactly. And secondly, the second point that was made there was that the University of Connecticut did not seriously recruit Caitlin Clark. Now, as the graphic showed, she was the number 4 country in the player behind Paige Buchers. And then you understand that if Paige Buchers has already made her intent that she wanted to attend the University of Connecticut, they kind of figure, okay, we have the number 1 player. There's really no need to go after the number 4 player. But to say that Caitlin should have contacted him, that's not the way recruiting really works, especially at that higher level. If Caitlin was number 150th player, potentially now you got to contact him, but the number 4 player has to contact him? No, absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just, I don't know. That's kind of like a very, not inaccurate, but it's a very telling way of saying like, yeah, we kind of, fumbled a little bit right there, but it's just
very true.
Full blame.
Very true. I mean, even myself, for example, I was a small Division I athlete, went to an HBCU, and I didn't contact the schools. The schools contacted me. I mean, there were schools that my coach reached out to, but generally the school that I ended up committing to, they reached out to me. I didn't have to contact them. That's crazy in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, bad look for Geno on that one. I don't really know. There's really not much more we want to talk about that, but here we go. On to the next one.
Now they go to point 8. Clark to inbound, Iowa by 2. Point 8 to go, and that will do it. Iowa survives Connecticut and heads back to the national championship game.
With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark.
She is officially a member of the Indiana Fever.
Let's do it! Number 1! We love Caitlin! This crowd is amazing. The support that we have in Indianapolis makes me even more excited for the season to start.
It's super great to see this crowd like this. Let's go! Let's go!
The Indiana Fever select Caitlin
Reality is coming.
Caitlin Clark all night tonight. Are you talking about my high school experience? Clark connects.
The young one here, Caitlin Clark, just dancing with the basketball, going to her left, stepping into it.
Back Benley. Here's Clark, a good look from 3. She got it. The first.
Caitlin Clark does not need much space here.
Is this shooting? That was a wild sequence there. Clark to switch on to Dolson, steps back and buries a triple. Turns, ducks in, back Benley stays with her, blocked from behind, that was Clark. Now Clark looking to push, cross-court pass. Pull, back to Clark, she will launch and bury a 3. Second quarter, and Clark doing it with some defense. Comes up with the block.
She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
6 on the shot clock. Clark, a deep 3. Oop, that is. Where one guard is just a lot stronger than the other because of her experience and maturity.
Nice look from Clark, and Smith lays it home. So you have 2 assists and a bucket on the first 3 possessions.
Quarter we have seen Caitlin Clark play, showing
Taylor Samuelson at the 4. Clark bounce pass it, Smith again.
To the bucket. Just a great delivery. I mean, putting it on the money.
Can't hit the long 2. Stays here with Indiana. Clark, a deep one. You bet. A Brooklyn logo bomb. Kimbrough, she will launch. Samuelson, nice pass there to Clark. Clark behind the back. Oh, it's Smith with the finish. Brilliance from Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
Look at Wheeler staring to the right side, knows who's there, drop pass behind. Could be the deepest shot we've seen Caitlin Clark make as a pro.
So it starts out with Iowa knocking out UConn in the 2024 women's Final Four semifinal game before Iowa went on to face South Carolina, ultimately lose. But go ahead, jump in.
Oh yeah, I was about to say it'd be like that, with the ending. But so this is the I believe this is where the hate or the saltiness comes from. Started out, at least.
You think it started? I think it started with the recruiting, but
no,
Yeah.
because like it could and it couldn't, because I think if Caitlin Clark wasn't as good as she was in college, then it wouldn't really matter.
I
It was
agree.
like, all right, well, I made the right decision. But
I
since
agree.
so now since she's balling out and kicked them out of the Final Four, now it's like, yeah, I don't want to hear none of this. Like, it's like, I don't want to hear none of this. I'm not trying to talk about this. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do agree with you on that point. Geno he didn't recruit her, but then she's going on to have this amazing career, all-time NCAA women's leading scorer, multiple college basketball records. And then she knocks him out of the tournament only by 2 points. It was a close game, but yeah, I can see where the saltiness is starting to build from Geno Auriemma. So I definitely agree with that.
And I think it's like after that, like, when Caitlin Clark got drafted, and now it's just more and more hype going on. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that's where the delusional fans he's like trying to come at.
Yeah.
It's just like when Caitlin Clark got drafted, and it's like it builds off that. Not only it builds more saltiness, but it just builds more like, it's like funny talking, like how he says that he pisses people off,
Mm-hmm.
and people let him know about that. But now since the people are pissing him off, now it's a problem. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
come on. And it's funny how he was like she also talks shit, but then she gets shit talked right back. So it's just like,
Mhm.
doesn't it work for you though if you do the same thing?
Yeah.
So
Well, Caitlin Clark, well, going back to Diana Taurasi, when she said reality is coming.
Yeah.
The reality that was coming was Caitlin Clark tearing up the WNBA. As Geno says, her delusional fan base, she did come in, and it wasn't even Caitlin Clark. As I was doing research for this, it wasn't even Caitlin Clark saying it. She seems like a really nice person, down to earth. She's just, she's just looking to destroy everything in front of her. Shout out to Anthony Edwards. But man, the reality that was coming to the WNBA was Caitlin Clark. And little did they know back in April or May or whatever it was that she was going to come in and have the type of impact that she had. Because even from the highlights that she had, not only can she shoot, she's a playmaker. I think one of her underrated skills is definitely passing. Her court vision, like I said, as I was looking at her highlights, and she sees the floor unbelievably well. Unbelievably well. Like, she's just dropping dimes left and right.
Yeah, she can definitely pass the ball well. And it's just like, the more you look at her game, it's like you could kind of base it off of Steph Curry a little bit. It may be a stretch to some people, but I could see it. It's like, I think, like, what do you think?
I agree also. As I was researching it and looking at her highlights, she's always, one thing I've noticed about her and Steph Curry, which are very, very similar, always on balance. Always on balance, dribbling head up, looking at the rim, looking at the floor. And when she pulls up, she's never off balance. Even when she shoots an off balance three, you could tell, or an off balance shot, you could tell that she's practiced that before. No one's forcing her to take these bad shots. And for Geno Auriemma to say that she's not physical enough, or she's not strong enough, and she's not quick enough in the league, I think, looking at her highlights, she's the fastest person with the ball in the WNBA. She's sneaky fast. That's what it is. And she's shifty, just like Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Like Steph Curry, he's going to drop you off with the ball. He's going to step back and shoot it because you're off balance, because he's on balance. He knows what he's going to do to get you off balance. As soon as you're off balance, an inch of daylight and he's shooting the ball. I see the same things in Caitlin Clark. But also another person who plays like that is Chelsea Gray. She plays for the Las Vegas Aces. She plays that way, but Caitlin Clark is just taking it to another level. Chelsea Gray, I don't see her with Caitlin Clark's speed. Like I said, Caitlin Clark has that like sneaky speed, and I think it's surprising people when they play her how fast she really is.
Like, she's like sly with it. I get what you mean.
Yeah. It's really like, it's like, you play against somebody and you see them on film and you're like, okay, but when you see them in reality, you're like, damn.
Yeah, right.
It shocks you how fast she is, or shocks you someone's skill level, or you play someone against someone and they're stronger than you expect. And it's just like, oh, okay. okay.
Yeah.
I see what's happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. So let's get back to it.
Stephen A., I would be remiss if I didn't say this. A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, said, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But there was a lot of people tried to make sure they keep Caitlin Clark in her place, because what you're doing, if you give her all this shine, you minimize what they done. You can't minimize what Maya Moore or Candace Parker or Lisa Leslie or Lauren Jackson or Diana Taurasi or Simone Augustus or any of the other great players. That Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, oh, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't gonna let it slide. Caitlin Clark, unanimous rookie of the year. But what's even more impressive, she's first team WNBA. First.
Shannon Sharp there. Shannon Sharp with a little bit of the smoke.
Like,
and I believe he's referring to Molly Quirm. I believe they had some back and forth with, I think it was Monica McNutt also on ESPN when Caitlin Clark was getting going before the Olympic break. They didn't want to give her props. It was like, oh, the old guard, like Shannon said, that has nothing to do with it. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's prime time. I even watched some of her games, and it was just like, I want to see if she was as good as advertised. And it's like they want her to, or want people to lay down to the old guard. No, the sun is rising, and it's Caitlin Clark.
I think it's more surprising how the stats don't lie. Like nothing, like the numbers don't lie at all. And the WNBA is not really capitalizing off of this. It's like they're not really like pushing her out there. And it's like, of all this talk, like not like the WNBA and the fans, like before Caitlin Clark was even a thing. Like there's been talks about like how it just wasn't, it was looking rough. It was looking really rough for them. But now since they have the opportunity, now all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah, because I mean, you have people who are good in the NBA or the NFL coming out of college, and you don't know if their game is going to translate. And I don't think people, like Geno Auriemma said, she's not physical enough, she's not quick enough. They didn't think her game was going to translate. But even when they saw the first half of the year before the Olympic break, and they saw her game did translate, they still didn't want to give her the props. And I don't really understand why, because we all saw it. It's like a storm coming. You can see the storm clouds coming. You're not going to go outside and tank top and shorts, and the storm's coming. You can see it coming. We all saw this coming, but they didn't want to give her props. I give her props.
You think it's based off of jealousy?
Partially. She signed that big Nike deal. She has other endorsements. She has all this attention. And I do believe it's jealousy, but I don't believe it's Caitlin Clark as the person who is initiating all of this. Like I said, she seems like a regular person.
Yeah.
She's not like living in all this. She's not starting all this controversy. She's not sending out mean tweets to anybody.
I don't think it's that. Yeah, it's definitely not that. It's not Caitlin Clark herself. It's more so the fans that they're getting, that the people are not liking Caitlin Clark. They're getting mad at the fans because it's like whatever has been said, they're kind of either them, as in the people that don't like Caitlin Clark, they're kind of like reverting to insane takes. Like they're just reaching. I believe they're just reaching to an insane extent. And just because all the hype that Caitlin Clark's been given to her fans.
Okay, I understand that, but where have you ever seen that happen before? LeBron came into the league, although you were younger, but Wemby came into the league super hyped up, although I don't see his fan base, his kind of appeal being very large, but I've never seen someone come into the league and their fan base caused other people not to like them. Usually you disregard the fan base. Fans are who they are. Fan is short for fanatic, right? They are who they are. I've never seen the fan base influence other people not to like a person. That's insane.
It's just like saying, this might be a little off topic, but it's like Colorado football. Like, because I know Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders, they've been well, really Shedeur. People are coming at Shedeur more likely. Last year it was Deion, but now this year it's Shedeur. Like, people are just coming at them because of the fans, literally because of the fans. And now other college football fans are just waiting to see their downfall.
Well, wait, I'm gonna go a slightly different direction with you on this one.
Yeah,
I think Deion's personality causes people not to like him, and he's prime time NFL Hall of Famer. There are people who already didn't like Deion. From his baseball days. He threw water on a reporter before. Like, people already have that built in, and then his son comes. And now a little bit of that, and then he's also very kind of braggadocious, holding up his watch. You know what I mean? He has commercials, and clearly he's the son of a wealthy athlete, and people just don't like him because he's Deion's son, and he's also very boisterous. You know what I mean? So, but it's not like the fans made people not like Shedeur. This is the different thing with Caitlin Clark. How is her fan base causing other professionals not to like her, causing, ESPN's broadcasters to say, oh, well, she needs to kind of stay in her place.
That was insane.
This is unusual. This is so unusual. And I don't know. This is unusual. Her fan base is causing that.
To think about it, yeah, it's like you don't really hear that at all, really.
That is true. But you know what? Some people just like to complain. And you know what? We're on to the next one.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.
She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
Yeah,
and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
Perfectly stitched together with MJ's voice on TikTok. Shout out to the creator of that video. Geno Auriemma. That phrase, I think, is the most damning as far as the statements that he made. That she's not physical enough and she's not quick enough, yet she's rookie of the year and has set all kinds of records. Like, I think looking at her, you think she's what? They have her listed at 6 foot, so she's probably what, 5'10", 5'11". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She looks very thin. You know what I mean? And it's like, you don't expect this person to have this type of performance. But what you can't measure is somebody's heart. And I think Caitlin Clark has an extreme high basketball IQ level. And I think her heart is something that's not measured. I think Geno missed her heart in high school, and that's why they didn't recruit her. And I think that they're missing it now. You can't measure someone's heart. And I think her basketball IQ, her work ethic, and her ability and her heart, I believe, is what is pushing her far beyond everybody else.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark for winning Rookie of the Year, since the WNBA has yet to congratulate her, because so far all I have seen is a bunch of other posts Like even
I know Nike had a long post on Twitter about her rookie of the year and all the records that she broke. Like I couldn't even get it on here as far as trying to place it so you and I could like look at it. But
yeah,
Nike they had a billboard. I don't know. I think it was in New York, congratulating Caitlin Clark. But as far as the WNBA, I'm not sure. I can't say.
yeah, I'm not too sure, but I believe it was Adidas, like not ambassador. It wasn't like CEO. It was like their ambassador or something like that. That was like
Congratulate Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, they were congratulating Caitlin Clark. But
although Caitlin Clark is a Nike athlete, I mean, let's say her contract is 3 years. Adidas is trying to position themselves to potentially snatch her away from Nike because she's a star. She's a mega superstar.
Thing is, it might be close because Deuce has dropped that Nike was telling Caitlin that she's not going to have a shoe deal, and it was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, the fans were they were outraged by it. It was crazy.
Wow. I think that will be a fumble of the year if they don't have a shoe of Caitlin Clark's come out because she's a mega superstar and her fan base is definitely pushing it. And she's from Iowa, that kind of Midwestern fan base, and she's from Iowa. She's playing in Indiana. Her fans clearly travel. They clearly watch her on TV. This is something else. This is something else the WNBA hasn't seen, but it kind of goes back to the title of our of this video. Everybody hates Caitlin. Why? This doesn't make any sense. I wish somebody could put their finger on it, but you have Geno Auriemma, the whole UConn alliance. I believe it starts there with Geno Auriemma, Diana Taurasi, clearly UConn players. I mean, UConn coach, UConn player, and they're people's allegiance to Geno Auriemma, UConn, Diana Taurasi. I feel like that's pushing some of this, but that doesn't encapsulate all of it. There is something else happening here, and I was unable to find it, doing the research for this particular video. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It's like maybe later on, a few years later on, when Caitlin Clark, sets her mark, there'll probably be answers later on.
I don't know. I think the further you get away from it, I think the more people are going to try to pretend like it didn't happen.
Like on some,
you know what that is?
Yeah, like they'd be like, "What are you talking about? We've always."
Yeah.
It's like, all right, come on. No, because it's like we're at a digital age where it's like whatever you say, it is permanent. So be careful.
Come back to our video. We got the receipts over here. We definitely got the receipts over here about what people said, but you don't know why they said it. This can't be simply Geno missed out on Caitlin Clark, and all of this is coming from that. But I don't know. I do think it is a kind of a UConn alliance and an allegiance to UConn and Geno Auriemma, which is some of it, maybe the majority of it. I don't know how much influence he has. And then the way he was speaking initially about disrespecting the WNBA players, but they're not going to say it. But he's saying it, so he's referring to his UConn players that are in the WNBA and people that have an allegiance to UConn and or Geno. So this, I don't know. Caitlin Clark is just moving along, busting people's asses, snatching souls, setting records, and I love watching it. I always root for not really the underdog. I like to see the young guns go after what they want, and I definitely am enjoying this whole Caitlin Clark controversy, and I don't know why people are hating on Caitlin Clark.
It remains a mystery. It'll always remain a mystery until it's not.
True. So with that being said, any final thoughts, Dante, on Caitlin Clark? Everybody hates Caitlin perspective.
Not much. It's just people hating on Caitlin. Please give a definitive answer of why you don't like her, because this vagueness is not it. Like,
I don't think they want to. I think that they would be embarrassed to say why they dislike her.
Well, then embrace the embarrassment. We got to get an answer somehow. You can't just act like it never happened, even though you specifically said it yourself at national TV.
Well, they can't deny it now. She said she's made her mark.
Yeah.
She's not playing any basketball this summer, she announced. So you're going to see her next year when the Indiana Fever season starts up. I can guarantee you she's going to be in the lab, making shots, correcting the mistakes or correcting errors where she feels like, not errors, but correcting parts of her game that she feels like she needs more of to be even more successful in the WNBA. But man, this is going to be interesting to watch for the next 10 years or so, however long she plays.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun to watch. I'm definitely going to enjoy watching Caitlin Clark snatch more souls in the WNBA. So with that being said, Dante Sr., Dante Jr., Arizona Air, and we out.